Hey everyone, welcome to the Be Bold, Make Waves podcast, a show bringing you inspiring stories of women who are growing and scaling their business. I'm your host, Laura Comark, a website and tech integration specialist who works with online business owners who love their work and not their website. Join me as we have incredible conversations about business, mindset, productivity, and of course, the website and tech behind the business. Let's go ahead and dive in to this week's episode. Hello and welcome to the show today. I am so excited for you all to be here. For those of you who don't already know me, my name is Laura Comark. I'm a website and tech integration specialist who works with coaches and consultants who love their work and not their website. My guest here today is Renee Hribar, who has been a sales professional since 1994 in New York, making her first million before she was 25 years old, which is incredible. She has gone on to sell millions of dollars in products and services and train thousands to sell for the first time. She's known in her industry as fun, energetic sales coach who leads with heart, a TEDx speaker who offers training sessions at global conferences, on-demand courses, and virtual workshops. She skillfully breaks down her decades of sales expertise. With her one-of-kind laugh and learn teaching style, you'll certainly gain a new view on the softer side of sales. Renee, thank you so much for being here. I am just thrilled to have you on the show today.
Thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
I would love if you could start off and just tell our listeners a little bit. I want to hear, and I know you were in sales for a very long time, but I want to hear about the online business piece of it. If we can kind of go back and talk about when you started in the online space.
Yes, thank you. That's a great question. I was actually just sharing that with my child today. I said, back when he was in kindergarten or about to go into kindergarten, I was obsessed with Waldorf and, the Waldorf Montessori experiential way of learning. And he was not. So I was like, well, because we went to a Waldorf school and he's like, no, I don't want to do that. And I thought, well, maybe he just wants to do it at home. Because, I'm persistent. And so I bought a Waldorf homeschooling book off of Amazon, and the author of the book started emailing me. And I realized I had put in my email to download some calendar or something, right? And I was like, the author is emailing. I did not understand broadcast emails at that time. I mean, as funny as it sounds, I was like, well, wait, it's just to me. It said my name on it. I was so obtuse. And it's funny because even now I'll have clients that are big clients. I mean, they're leaders of departments or big corporations. And I'm like, so where's your email list? In my Gmail, because that's how we think. That's how we work. We didn't know about CRMs. I mean, maybe we knew about them, but we weren't always working with them, or, email service providers like ActiveCampaign or ConvertKit or other things. So long story short, she invited me to a webinar personally. Personally invited me. And I actually was one of those people who hit reply because I really thought she was emailing me. So by webinar 3, she had launched a couple of times. I bought her $1,200 coaching program. So for one-on-one coaching for 3 months. And that's what brought me into this world. I had no idea that there was this entire Facebook environment. So what she said was, if you're going to Waldorf homeschool, you should have a course because you probably have things you could teach on. I'll spend 90 days with you and I'll walk you through what to do. I was like, great. Her first assignment to me was to go explore what I would, what I could possibly create or who was out there to talk to. She sent me to Kimra Luna's. If you know who that is, she's a pretty big audience. I don't know. I haven't seen her in a couple of years, but Kimra Luna at the time had 10,000 people in her Facebook group. Okay. And then Dana Malstaff's group, which at the time was 400 people. And I was like, I feel better with the 400 people. I'll hang out here. And that's called, whatever, it's called. So the point is that through that, I found out, oh, wow, there's women all over doing all kinds of things, copywriting, website design, all kinds of experts that used to work in corporate. And now they sort of freelance. That is super interesting. Wow. Okay. Let me check this out. And so it's also right about the time when Ben was like, I do not want to be homeschooled by you. So I did homeschool him for kindergarten, but by the end of kindergarten, he was like, I do not. I want to go to a school with people. I was like, don't you want to spend the days with me? He said no. So all that to say, he is not homeschooled, but it's not by my choice. So we now he's at a Catholic school. So we went really in the other direction with that, didn't we? So all that to say, I started out by finding out what was happening. And that's how I decided to do sales coaching, because I met these women. They were so brilliant, so amazing, and they were so broke. I'm like, why are you broke? They're like, what? And they would talk to me and tell me their problems. I'm like, oh, what? Tell me what you say on the phone. And then they would tell me, I was like, oh, well, I see the problem right now. You don't have to say anymore. You can stop talking. And so my first offer, which is $97, let's just get on the phone together. I will rework what you say on the phone. We'll do a recording. You keep that and then have fun, make money. And I did that. And I got booked up fast. And I saw some real progress with them. I was like, I should charge commission. So instead of that, I know, profit sharing, but instead of that, I created a bigger program and a course, and that's kind of the direction that I went. So that's how I came in the online space.
Oh, I love that. I don't know that I actually knew that story. And so just so our listeners know a little background, you came into my world more recently. I'm absolutely shocked that we have not met sooner. I mean, we know all the same people. We started in some of the same groups. It must have just been a few years. Maybe I was a couple of years behind you in those groups. I don't know.
It was 2017 when I started in the Boss Moms. Or just at the end of 2016. 2017 is when I incorporated my company.
Okay. Yeah, I was in there. I actually found you because in a Voxer group that I'm in, someone was talking about your live event and how amazing it was. They just left and someone else was like, oh, I almost went to that. And I'm like, who's this person? What are you talking about? And they're talking about the event for next year. And I'm like, what is this? Who's this Renee person? I have no idea who she is. I've never heard of her. Send me the link. Is this something I need to know about? They sent the link. I was like, oh, it's in Santa Monica, which is not far from me. I was like, oh, should I go to this? You guys are all going? I want to go. I have massive FOMO. No idea who you are. So I go, I sign up. The kids were home on another COVID shutdown. And I just was I was like, it's not until next year. I can totally make this work. And so that got me on your email list. And then, I don't know, a month later, you were doing a workshop. I got on it. And that was the first time I was on a Zoom call. And I just couldn't stop laughing. I was so entertained. And I was like, I don't care what she's selling. I want it. I need Renee to be in my life. It's just too fun. If I'm having not that great of a day, I just get on one of your sales calls and or one of your coaching calls, not the sales calls, but coaching call, because it's the group of women that you attract are so kind and loving. Yeah. And then there's just jokes for days.
Just jokes.
There's just jokes. And, your laugh and learn teaching style, like what your bio said, that's exactly what it is. And I love that.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So I love all that. So tell me, how are you helping people now? The women that you're helping. Tell me about your ideal person that you are just helping them blaze the trail.
Yes. So thank you for asking. So I have more than one company. The company that you are that you are familiar with is for the woman startup, right? She doesn't have venture capital. She's bootstrapping. She probably decided to work online because of a personal reason, right? She doesn't, I have a lot of my clients in that sense in the online space are, they have a chronic illness, or they're caregivers of someone, themselves, a parent, or a child who typically there's something that's happening outside of work that they need to attend to. And so I think that's what makes them so loving and caring, right? They're just loving and caring people. So they've made the concession to not work in a corporate environment, to try to find another way to earn a living, to support and bring, contribute to the family, not only by what they're already doing, but in addition to that, with their skill sets and their expertise. And so that's usually when I meet them is when they're asking themselves, well, how do I make money doing this? And so I have workshops. I have a lot of free content. So I have a podcast, 2 podcasts, a book, and lots of a free community. So lots of free content. And then I also have workshops, and I have courses, and I have a program called Sell Like a Mutha, which is, like an encyclopedia of sales information and live coaching that I do on a weekly basis, which I just love. And so on the other side of that, I also do consulting for women and highly emotional, like highly emotionally intelligent men. I would say emotionally intelligent people for sales strategy. So there's a lot of times right at that $5 million mark where a company needs a salesperson or they need a sales manager and they don't know where to begin because they've been doing the sales. And so I help them. I come in and like an electrician, I kind of look at their circuits and I put the right connections together. We help with the org chart. We create the job description. I hire, train, and manage that person until they're ready to kind of take the training wheels off and take it on their own.
Gotcha.
So that's what I do on that side. And so it's a lot. What I get to do every day is talk to people. And I just love that. And it's never just about how do you sell to people? Because when you're talking to a person about selling to another person, there's all kinds of emotions involved. And the reason I like to bring laughter and comedy in is because it can get a little bit tough sometimes. And when we're laughing, we're less stressed.
Absolutely. What would you say are your biggest, the first tips that you tell someone when they are in the position they're just starting out and they're like, I don't know how to sell for myself.
Right.
So what are the things that you tell them that really the audience could maybe take away from this conversation?
100%. How do I sell for myself? Yes, that is the age-old question. And so the first thing that I find is that they're typically overthinking the entire process. First thing that they typically overthink is if I share this piece of information, that's not good enough. No one will think I'm smart enough. No one will think that's important enough to share. And they'll laugh me out of the stadium because I've shared this piece of information that I've already believed is not good enough. And my answer is, you are such an expert that you have forgotten more than we'll ever know about the topic of which you do, like the topic of which you are an expert in, like whether you're building the website or advising on the website or, in your case, right? And so even what you think is minuscule and seemingly unimportant would blow someone else's mind and probably change your life for the better if you just shared it. So share that, start there. The second thing I see people struggle with and how do I sell for myself is that feeling of if I do say something, if I do put that out there and my worst fears come true, I will then be, kicked out of the tribe and my family will starve. Right. And that's that caveman brain kicking in because that was the case, however many years ago, but not the case anymore. And so simplify, share the most basic things and start the conversation with people. That's my best advice.
I love that. Do you have any advice for the mindset hurdles? Because I know that is something that it happens with me. It happens with everyone I know.
Yeah.
Those mindset of just, it's the imposter syndrome that comes up and all those. How do you help people? What do you tell them?
Yeah, great question. When I first came in the online space, people would ask me, do you teach mindset? And I had never used that phrase before. I was like, well, it's how you look at things. It's your frame of reference. It's your frame of mind. It's, your perception, your vantage point. And then I started diving into what they meant when they asked that question. And I realized that it is absolutely a part of what I do because they're inseparable. You can't teach how to sell for yourself or anyone else without getting in the right frame of mind, both emotionally, spiritually, and often physically. So for example, what do I tell people? Well, I have a course program, Sell Like a Mutha. And one of the lessons in there is a I now call mindset exercise, but really it was a prep exercise that I've used for years and years and years. Well, when I had my sales agency and I had 300 sales reps going in the field every day, there was this one exercise that I shared with them, and that was this one. And it was going through all your worst fears. I'm not good enough. They're not going to want anything, no matter what I say. They're going to hate it. They're going to hate me. They're going to hate my family. They're going to want to, kick my dog or whatever. Write out your worst fears. Say them out loud. And then there's a couple of things you do. In this exercise, you say it out loud. And then you flip the script. No, they're going to love what I have to say. Of course, they're going to want what I have. And so saying it out loud, there's a lot of physiological things that happen. You hear yourself, right? Our brain does not know what's true and not true, what's real and not real. If we hear it, our brain believes it. So we're hearing it out loud to ourselves. And it's also our posture and our stance when we're doing it. I often encourage women to, if they're taking discovery calls or sales calls, to stand up either have a standing desk if they're doing them on Zoom, or just to stand up because your breath is better, your posture is better, you feel stronger. There is something physiological about having that Superman stance, warrior pose. Like I have a certified hatha yoga experience. So all that mindset, how do I get over those hurdles? That is the first place I start, is that exercise. But continued with this, you can also write down all of your worst fears and burn it. Just do it outside. I've tried that inside, and it asked me I had some problems. We used to put them all in a garbage can and light it on fire. And we had a couple extra people in the office one day, and the sprinklers went off. I was like, that cost me $1,000. Whoops. So don't do that. We go outside and have a literal dumpster fire. Just throw that shit in the dumpster. Another thing you can also do is write it on a piece of toilet paper and flush it. That's another way to do it. Your worst fears, it's not true, it's not going to happen. So there's a lot of these strategies that I've used. I continually hire and train people on this. I hire people for myself and then turn around and train other people. So I work with spiritualists and priests and energy workers and body workers and Reiki masters. I invest in those people being in my life so that I can continually be in touch with how can I refine my game, my saw, and also share that with other people. So those are some ways. That's that lesson. And then burning, flushing. And if that doesn't help, your mother always loves you, or you can call me. If someone can hate for no reason, I can love for no reason. Okay.
Oh, I'm going to put that on a mug for you.
Thank you. Yes.
That's another. I have some things you say written down, and then I put them all over my wall because they're good. And that's another good one. I love that.
Put that on a bumper sticker, right?
Put that on a bumper sticker. Exactly. That'll solve the road rage issues of the world.
That's our next business. That's what we're going to do. Stickers.
Oh my goodness. I want to talk to you a little bit about the tech of your business, just because I am a tech and website expert.
Yes.
Talk about the tech.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the tech at the beginning of your business, and then how that's evolved. So can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes. When I first started my business, I've already shared that I did not understand broadcast emails. So therefore was not using those myself either. I quickly learned that was a thing. But I did not have a landing page to a freebie that you could receive automatically if you just entered your email. That whole concept took me about a year, maybe more, if I'm being honest, to get and then deploy, to actually implement. And honestly, what happened was one of my clients was just so sick of me not having it. And she was a funnel builder. She's like, I just did this for you here. And so there you go. And it's done. She's like, I just did it. You're just making me crazy. So thanks. The evolution was, I learned a lot. So I hired a coach, and I worked with her for 5 years. So for the last 5 years, in fact, almost 5 in November. And she is a tech and funnel specialist, so much that she has her own software. She created her own software company. And so I now speak funnel. I'm pretty fluent in it. I know what you're talking about, and I know how to do it. Do I want to do it? No. So I've done it enough to know that I don't want to, for myself or anyone. So that to be said, it has evolved to where, yes, I have all the connections and 67 zaps on a daily basis that, are connected and somehow move through my system, and tags and, tens of thousands of emails, people on my email list that get personalized emails from me.
And say to reply back.
And some do. Yes, I love it. So it's evolved quite a bit. I now have a tech VA full-time on my team. And I also hire contractors intermittently to help build out the other pieces. Is it perfect? Oh, goodness, no. And that's why everybody needs you. Because I love your tagline, for women who love their business, but not their website. That is literally everyone that I know. And so everyone should be hiring you. So if you're listening to this, make sure you talk to Laura.
Love that. Yes. Well, and honestly, that's the thing that I see that kind of kills me a little bit, is when women they have this amazing gift that they bring to the world, and they're so hung up on the back end's not working, or they don't love their website, and so they don't share it.
Right.
And that's the thing that I see holds people back. And so that's where I'm like, we can fix this and make it so you can focus on what you love to do. And I can focus on what I love to do, which is doing all that funnel speak on the back end and
Right.
connecting all the techie bits and making the website just beautiful. And I was on a website today and I was like, this woman sounds amazing. And I went and like clicked on her Instagram link because I'm like, I want to go follow her on Instagram. And it shot me over to a 404 account not found. And I was like, oh, how many other people click here? And then it stops.
Well, something you did for me that was beautiful was you did a little Loom video and you're like, hey, I just tried to do this one thing and it didn't work. I was like, that was me messing around on my own and not with they did scold me. That's what happens when I touch the deck. So sending those kind of little Loom videos to those people is so helpful. Like it's so thoughtful. And so that's, again, helping them sell for themselves. Oftentimes it's kind of like this. Like I look at our website as like our clothes, almost like our internet clothes, right? So like we're confident in ourselves, but our clothes look like we slept in them, right? So wouldn't you feel more confident, or wouldn't it be better, easier for you if you looked the part? So the website doesn't change who you are. It just helps everybody else understand it faster.
And it helps your confidence, like what you just said. I love that analogy so much because when we dress up nice and we just feel all dolled up and like ready to go, we're like, yeah, we're on fire. We can take over the world.
My grandmother used to always never leave. She's passed on, Grandma Mary. She would never leave the house without her makeup on. And I thought that was just ridiculous because I was like athlete. And I was like, we don't have to wear makeup to be fantastic. But what I learned is that made her feel good. And so never left the house without her makeup on. So again, same thing. She felt more confident. So when your website is strong, it's easier to fall back on and say, okay, I'm strong. And it's a reflection point. I'm strong. I can do this. We can do this together. Me and my website. Let's go. It does make a huge difference. It does.
Absolutely. Oh, so many good things here. I love it. I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that you're doing that's different in the industry and how you're being bold.
How I'm being bold. Well, as a crazy Italian New Yorker, I feel like I do a lot of things, but that question is like, what are you doing different in the industry? So it's hard for me, and I think for a lot of people, to believe that we're doing much different. I use the analogy often about the bread aisle, right? Like I'm not inventing bread. Mm-hmm. I didn't invent even sliced bread or the bag that it goes in, or the fact that you should put all the different accoutrement you find inside of a bag of bread. But what you can do is make what exists the best that you can make it. As in my case, it would be, well, I didn't invent sales conversations. I didn't invent sales processes. I didn't invent the tried and true things that work on humans to get them to do the thing you want them to do in a non-manipulative, persuasive way, but like in a kind and gentle way. What I do is I help the other person feel comfortable using it. And so for me, it's less about, so I guess if I'm to say anything that makes me bold and different, I'm less about, this is the tactic, use the tactic. And I'm more like, I've got 1,000 tactics. You tell me what you like to do, and I'll match you with what I think might be a good suggestion for you. And then we try it together. It's like you're trying it on. Instead of like, if you're going to, like, we're on the clothes analogy now. So you go to Nordstrom, you're like, I got a big party. I'm going to my reunion. And I'm like, okay, well, like, what should I wear? I'm like, well, I mean, I got 1,000 ideas. What do you like to wear? What do you feel comfortable wearing? Is it V-neck? Do you like dresses? Do you like pantsuits? What color do you like to wear? And then you tell me those things, and I can go pull a wardrobe and have, make a room for you. Right. I mean, I don't know if I could actually do that, but somebody could. Like, that's the idea of how I look at sales strategy for me. So I think that's how I'm being bold, is I'm taking what I already know, because I have been in hundreds of thousands of sales conversations, hundreds of thousands, myself personally with other people, let alone if you add up all of my clients and then all of my employees from before, from my sales agency, I mean, it'd be in the millions. So I have lots of personal data from interactions. So what makes me bold and different is I've got all those experiences, and I help the person make the right fit for them.
I love that. Because I see so often, even in joining different programs, like they teach and they teach the way they know how to do it. And this is the way we're teaching. And I know that's the thing that I've struggled with sometimes is, it's trying to fit the round pegs into the square holes. And so being able to say, have people come to you and say, this is what I'm comfortable doing. This is how I want to show up. And then you being able to take that and say, let's try this.
Correct. So I'm not like, oh, you just have to do DMs, but I think that there's a time and a place for those that really work. Or, oh, you just have to do this one kind of post, or, oh, you have to do video, or there's pros and there's good arguments on both sides of every scenario. So I'm lucky enough that I've had the breadth and depth of experience. I'm not 25 anymore. So with that, we'll just call that wisdom.
I also found really interesting how focused you are on the connection piece of it, of sales. Like it's all about the connection because you have 3 things that you talk about. Everyone is. Can you touch on that a little bit?
Thank you. Yes. Connection. And I, from that experience, I've learned that if you just don't destroy the relationship, if you keep the relationship going, even if it's, one touch a year, you will find gold in that. So I always say it does not matter who someone is to you initially, your cousin, your neighbor, your person in line with you on Kroger, you're getting your groceries, or somebody in a Zoom room or a Facebook group of any kind, any level, anywhere. They are all one of the 3 C's: a client, a connector, or a collaborator. And if you continue to work on yourself and share, then the chances of them being all 3 eventually are high. Because a lot of us will meet somebody like, oh, they're a really nice person, but we have absolutely no idea how they make money. And if we did, and it was easy to explain, we would say, I know somebody, because we love to know a guy, right? We're problem solvers as humans, especially women, right? Like you tell us, I'm really just I'm trying to make healthy meals for my kids. We immediately rush in. You know what? I got 10 recipes. Here it is. I'll text you right now. Right? You might not have been asking, but we offered, right? We want to know a guy. We want to have the answer.
That all women? Because I connect with that very much.
I feel this deeply. Yes.
Yes.
There's a t-shirt that says, I'm not bossy, I'm helpful.
I have that on a Post-it.
Right. My husband would call that bossy. I'm like, well, I'm helpful, but she didn't ask. Well, she was gonna probably, if not, now she doesn't have to.
I wouldn't have brought it up if it wasn't top of mind.
Right. She said the meals, I got those. Yeah, that's it. So yes.
What would you say were some of the struggles that you've had since you've gone online in your business? Because it's not always smooth sailing, laughs, jokes, chuckles.
No, struggle is like every day. I am a human, right? And you are too. And especially as a woman, I have hormones. So I have emotional fluctuations sometimes. So it depends on the day, right? Some days are better than others. And, one thing that my first sales manager said to me was, every dog has his day, Renee. Sometimes it ain't your day. So just have a good night's rest and wake up tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow will be your day. There are some days you get a goose egg, you get a 0, no matter what you do, it's raining over your head. There's, you step in a puddle up to your knee in your gray suede boots, no matter what. So all that to say, some days are better than others. But specifically speaking in the online space, I've struggled hiring and leading a team because it was so different, because we weren't in an office together. Yeah. So there wasn't all that camaraderie. So I've had to actually add that in. You would never add in camaraderie time on a weekly basis if you worked in the same office. It's ridiculous because you would see each other in the bathroom, in the hallway, down in the meetings. Blah, blah, blah. So we have to build it in. My team now calls it Renee's recommitment ceremony. So it's 15 minutes every week where I get everybody together. We just repeat our mission, our values, and our vision. And then we all just on a high level talk about what we're up to that week. It just keeps everybody connected. It's been, it's completely revolutionized my turnover internally from a team perspective. in the online space, it's very like middle school. Sometimes it can feel like middle school. I don't know if it is like middle school. And then what I mean by that is it's a popularity contest, or it can feel like that. Am I with the cool kids? And it can really, because it's the internet, and it can mess with our head.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're constantly being fed what's going on. We have this thing in our hand, this utensil that if we want to check anything, we go to it. And then all of a sudden we get a notification, and then boom, we're on Instagram, boom, we're on TikTok, boom, we're looking at somebody else who has a way better life than us. And it's just like, so I've had to have very strong like cleansing process and a very strong boundary of like, I am not my business. Even if my business has my name and my face, I am not my business. And so if you met me and my business at the same time, you'd say, you guys are pretty similar. But if somebody attacks my business, I have to say they're not attacking me.
Oh, I love that. I think that's really important because like my business is branded with my name as well. And creating that separation, I think, can be really key to dealing with some of the backlash that can come and some of those mindset hurdles. I had for a really long time, I was just terrified to email my list.
Yes.
Absolutely terrified. I'm like,
people share that a lot. Yeah.
What am
I going to say? Yeah. I don't want to bother them.
I don't want to bother them. What if they say mean things? Like, are they going to find this thing valuable?
Completely. Yes.
Yeah.
And so the answer to that is the answer that I had to have for myself way before I met the internet. And that was, I will never please everyone. And I'm a people pleaser, but I will never please everyone. Certainly not myself. I will always be displeased with whatever I put out. So don't let that stop me, because it's never going to happen anyway. I will always look at whatever I put out and like, ugh, because that's just human. And I will always expect the worst. And so accepting those things allows me to put it out and just, let it be.
Yeah, I love it. I would love to switch and talk a little bit about celebrations. Now we're going the other side.
Okay.
I'm a big believer in celebrating our wins. I would love to hear something that, when you look back on your business, what's something that you feel super proud of that you would love to celebrate?
I love bringing people together, like the true joy. Like I truly love being a matchmaker, right? My husband would call that a yenta, or, I get, I meddle, but what I do is connect people, I feel. So when I see two people or groups of people that I connected, I introduced them to each other, and that they're thriving together. They've collaborated on something, they're doing something together. It just brings me joy. So that is the thing that I celebrate the most. And so I celebrate that specifically in my Experts Connect. That's the big event, but I also celebrate it every single day in my free live community on Facebook called Entrepreneurial Connections Movement. So I celebrate it there by asking fun questions, going live, being silly, talking about sales, and we're all just kind of like, camaraderie, like 2 a.m. at the bar. Because we don't ever actually see that anymore, right? As parents or family people, we don't see 2 a.m. at the bar. I see the back of my eyelids at 2 a.m., but I remember that feeling, that it was kind of fun and a little dizzying.
Yeah. Oh, and then when Sweet Caroline comes on and everyone starts singing.
Yes. And then the lights turn on. You're like, oh, this is horrifying. You don't have to go home, but get the heck out of here.
Yep. Yes. My 20s.
I know.
Days long.
I'm so glad the internet did not exist when I was in my 20s.
Agreed.
At least these things, Yeah.
No. Yes. Moving on from that. Yes, definitely.
We tiptoe away. Yeah.
So we are getting close to the end of our time. I do have one more question that I would love to ask you, that I ask everyone who comes on the show. And that is, what is one piece of advice that you would give someone when they're first starting out in their business to help them be bolder, be louder, and make waves in their business?
Do not roll alone. So it takes a village. And so find, people call them biz buddies, cheerleaders, teammates, ride or dies. Maybe you don't know if they're ride or die yet, but don't do it. Don't try to do it alone, because you don't need to. And I mean, that is one of the biggest, I guess, graces that first coach gave me, is she introduced me to a community. I think she was showing it to me as an example, but what I found were other women in the exact same boat. I totally felt like, wow, I'm in the right place. I'm not alone. And I could reach out to them when I was feeling like crap and be like, I just need to vent. Can I just vent to you right now? And no one else. I mean, it's not that I don't have my friends, or that live near me that I was friends with up until I started coming into the online space. They just they just didn't understand. They understand having a business, but a business on the internet was a little different because it felt more exposed.
Yeah, it does. I love that so much. I mean, that was something that it took me a number of years to find my people and find my tribe online. And I mean, when I first started my business, before I started the online business, I was home, I was corporate, working full-time remote. And I'd moved to the area, I didn't really know anyone. So I didn't have a lot of friends in the area. I met people out walking the dog. If they have a dog and they live in my neighborhood, I probably know them, but
now we're friends. Yeah.
But then when I moved to the online space, I had a new baby at home and was just like struggling and juggling, and it was hard. It was really hard. And then finally, it was probably like 2020 where I really found like my people. And that was 5 years in.
Yeah. And so I encourage it straight away. Like for me, what I did specifically was I would invite them to just like a coffee chat. Can we have coffee together tomorrow? I just want to talk. Or let's get all of us together and just do like a fun, like wine, like WIN and WHINE. And, we usually would end up with fun, and we would oftentimes learn really something cool from each other, just shooting the breeze. But we'd also have that space where we can just chill and not have to be on and not have to perform and not have to do anything specific for anyone, because in any other role in our life, there are certain expectations upon what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. And so it was nice to have that one little space, that 30 minutes. I still do these, by the way, like 30-minute happy half hour. Just come and let's hang out.
And I've been to those. They're very fun.
Yes. Because if it helps, if nothing else, it's selfish because it helps me. Like I feel like, all right, we can just be ourselves.
Well, if you're feeling it, then that means other people are feeling it too.
We should hope.
So it helps everyone in the room.
We hope. This has been great, Laura. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on, Renee. Can you let our listeners know where they can come hang out more with you, get more laughs, and just experience Renee?
So everything is centered on the easiest place is my website, which you're like, you love your business, but not your website. It's always in development. There's new things happening on that website all the time. So it's just my name.com. So ReneeHribar.com.
Wonderful. I will link that up in the show notes. And thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode. Be sure to check out the show notes at lauracomark.com/podcast. And if you're ready to grow and scale your business and your current website is outdated and doesn't reflect the magic you bring and the results you get for your clients, go to lauracomark.com to find out how I can help bring your vision to life. That's LauraKamark.com. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next week. Bye now.